Okay, so in this video we're introducing a new concept. Again, you might have talked about this before in earlier classes. I'm not really sure, so if it's reviewed, great. If it's not reviewed, heads up, pay attention, okay? But we're talking about central angles and arcs of circles, okay? So an angle whose vertex is the center of a circle is obviously called a central angle. Center, central, okay? Kind of makes sense. If the measure of a central angle is less than 180, then the portion of the circle that's intersected by the angle is called a minor arc. So we know all the way across, halfway of a circle is 180. You should know that because an entire circle is 360. So if it's less than 180, like here in red, that's obviously less than half the circle, it's called a minor arc. If the measured circle is greater than 180, so bigger than half the circle, then that's called a major arc. So that's what we're doing in blue. Okay, so major arc is bigger than 180. Okay, now, a couple things about naming arcs. If it's a minor arc or a semicircle is perfectly 180, then you only need 2 points on the circle to name it. If it's a major arc, then you need 3 points. Your starting point, somewhere along the way for a pit stop, and then your final point, okay, because you're traveling a long way. We want to find the measure of each angle, the measure of each arc in the circle R. That's what we're doing in example 20. It's 3 parts, okay? So we're going to use the same circle for all 3 parts. First thing I want to find is arc MN. As soon as I see only 2 points on the circle for an arc, that tells me it's a minor arc or a semicircle. So it's going to be less than or equal to 180. Well, let's look at it. MN is right here. We'll do that one in blue. Well, the measure right here of the central angle is 80, so central angle is the same as the arc. That's a rule. So the measure of this arc is 80. Now I want to find the measure of arc MPN. The measure of arc MPN. Let's do that one in red. So I want to just follow the letters, M to P to N. So that's the arc I'm trying to find. We knew that arc MN is 80. We know that there's 360 total in the circle. So if I'm just finding the red arc, it kind of makes sense that I should be able to say 360 minus 80. And that should give me the measure of the arc that I want, MPN. So let's do that in calculator. And that's 280. Pretty easy. And this is in degrees, okay, so you really should do your little degree symbol up in the air. I forgot to do it in the previous one, so I'm going to go back and put it there now. And then finally, I want to find the measure of arc PMN. Okay, let's do that one in green. PMN. All right, well, let's look at segment PN. That is a chord because it touches a circle in 2 points. But it's a special chord called a diameter because it goes through the center of the circle. Since my arc is it's touching both P and N, that means it's touching this diameter. Diameter goes through half, cuts the circle in half. So my arc is talking about half the circle. So we have 360 divided by 2, which is 180. So the measure of that arc, that semicircle in green, is 180 degrees. Pretty easy. The biggest thing you need to realize is that for minor arcs, the central angle and the minor arc will always be the same measurement. Central angle and minor arc will always be the same measurement. Be sure you know that. Okay? 2 arcs on the same circle are adjacent if they intersect at exactly 1 point. Essentially, adjacent means side by side. So for 2 arcs to be considered side by side, they have to have a point on the circle in common. We can add the measures of adjacent arcs. So in example 21, that's what we're doing. We want to find the measure of GE. So let's do that in red, the measure of GE. Well, before I can do that, I first need to find the measure of GH, which is 40, because my central angle for GH was 40, and then the measure of HE, which is going to be 80, because the associated central angle is 80. So to find GE, I'm just going to say 40 plus 80 equals 120. So from here to here is 120. Pretty easy. All right, now let's do GEF. Okay, again, I'm going to just follow the points in the order they were given to me. Let's do that in green. So GEF, that's what I'm trying to find. Again, essentially I'm just adding up each of these minor arcs. So I had 40, 80, and now this minor arc down here was 110 because that's what its central angle was. So I'm going to add those numbers together. So let's do that over here on the side for my scratch work. I have 40 plus 80 plus 110. I'm going to use my calculator there. Okay. Probably could do it by hand, but why? When the technology's here, it easily, it makes life so much easier. So I get 230. Which is the measured arc GEF. Pretty easy. No big deal. And if I want to find the measure of arc GF, let's do that in purple. So I want to find from here to here. All right, well, I already know that the green arc is 230. I found that in the previous problem. And I know that the entire circle is 360. So what I want to do is say 360 minus the piece I already know, which was 230. And that's going to give me the piece that I need. Okay, so again, I'm just going to use calculator here. Should be pretty easy. Which is 130. Okay, and again, this was all started with the fact that the central angle and minor arcs are the same. These arcs were adjacent because they shared a point on the circle, so they're side by side. And then I just, did some basic addition and subtraction. No big deal, no surprises. And that's it for this video about central angles and arcs.